Hey YouTube, good day. Starting vlog day 19. Always a little bit different, starting off a little bit differently here. Hope everybody's been enjoying it. I put a video out last night. Make sure you go check it out. There's a link in it to a video about Lunatic Dad, about some of the credit breaches and the effects, and just some information for you. If you didn't see that, go check that out. But there was also an article I saw yesterday to get our morning started, about, it was from The Hill, which is a fairly big reporting organization, I guess, talking about the Fed leading to the destruction of America. And it's like, duh, what do you think the whole thing's about? That's the only thing. They're trying to prevent that as long as possible so they can milk America for everything else they got. It goes along with that, what I said last night in the last video about they're giving you nothing in exchange for your labor, and in the same respect they're also giving you nothing in exchange for all the real property, liens on all the real property, all the loans they put out on real stuff. But yet we get stuck with the bill. We have to work supposedly harder to pay off our supposed national debt. So let's see what vlog day 19 has got going for it. Let's go, fellas. Come on. Dinner time. Let's go. Yep. Let's go. Whoa, watch out, buddy. Come on. Yep. Keep going. Come on, let's go. You know where we're going. You know where to go. You guys are smarter than they say, aren't they? Come on. Good job. Yeah, those goats are the bad guys, aren't they, guys? Here you go. Hold on, let me pour some for you. Not you guys. You guys act like you're the ones getting fed. Get out of here. Yeah. Get. Bunch of freeloaders. Bunch of freeloaders is what you are. Let's see if you get zapped once. Somebody needs to get zapped. Hey YouTube, so we're closing up vlog day 19 here. Kind of following up on the news from today on the Mexico City earthquake. It looks like pretty significant, pretty far-reaching effects. Yeah, that's one of those things that when you talk about preparedness, it's one of those that is really hard to, you don't see it coming. You got to be ready at any given time, and that's probably next to nuclear, something nuclear or an EMP, coronal mass ejection, which you actually get some lead time on that. It comes out of the blue. You got to be ready at any given time for the effects of it. Not sure exactly what the impacts are, but just based upon the video and the collapsed buildings collapsing after the fact, and they're saying the death toll is well over 100 now, which is not really surprising, considering all those building collapses and everything. Pretty tragic situation. But when you look at it in the preparedness perspective, it would be interesting to see how it's affecting people that aren't in the city. You don't usually see video like that of people that aren't in the city or just single family homes just out in the outlying areas. I was looking it up. Mexico City is about 8 million people, and I think that's just concentrated in the city limits. I think if you include the outlying, basically suburbs, it's closer to 12 million. Um, and another significant factor is at the 12,000 feet, or at least the highest point in Mexico City. Um, it probably has varying terrain, but significant altitude challenges for anybody that's coming in from the outside to go help them. You can't just drop in at 12,000 feet and go to work. It's not, it's going to be a rough day unless you're already acclimatized somewhere else. But not many places can immediately go on the ground and get to work. And when you're getting up that high, you're talking about altitude sicknesses. If you go in there and just start physically laboring away, you're going to get dehydrated and quickly, and also get a little bit of altitude sickness going on. But it'd be interesting to see, especially consider how some of those outlying areas are, how that's affecting them and their lifestyle. Is the earthquake cutting off water supplies that are dug wells? Is it inhibited any of those? Have those been impacted? Obviously, city systems can be affected, but one thing you don't hear about, how does that affect what's really people that are pretty much self-sufficient already? What are they going through out in the outlying areas that will it really impact their life? They don't have power that much. They pretty much live off a well. Will anything change for them? And that would really be the goal, is for something like that to happen and your life doesn't change. So I think I don't know, it'd be interesting to look through some news stories if I could read Spanish and see if they could actually go out into any of those areas that are obviously affected, but you just don't see it because it's not where the mass population is, which gets all the attention. And it's where most of the destruction is. When you've got 6, 7, 8-story structures falling, obviously that's going to catch the news, and it should, because that's going to be significant impact on all the people that relied on that for business or work or shelter of their home. So lots to be learned from this. It'll look like, and we'll have to follow up with it to see what we can learn from it on how it affects the area. So there's something, comments on that. I'm sure there'll be lots of recovery support teams going down there soon, if they're not already en route, even from the United States. Even though we're recovering from our hurricanes, that people will be heading down there, I'm sure. So everybody be safe. Anybody involved in those, and in those involved in the hurricane efforts, recovery. Hope everybody's finding some decent shelter and decent meal for themselves while they're out there helping, getting everybody else back on their feet. So we'll close out vlog day 19 here. Pretty low impact. I think what I fail to mention a lot is you don't see me doing everything every day, because I also have helpers and a wife. So don't think the animals are suffering just because I'm not displaying it or whatever. It's just kind of, it gets put on camera as it happens, or if I remember to even pull it out, maybe. But lots goes on that I don't do, which is fortunate, because I couldn't do it all unless it was my full-time job, which would be a goal, but it's a long way between here and there. So you'll be good. Live free.